earlier reports that 5 adults and 2 juveniles had been found dead. Pike County Sheriff Charles Reeder said, "We have many horrific crime scenes. An infant less than a week old, a 6-month-old, and a 3-year-old survived the shootings, according to officials." Reeder said anyone involved in the shooting should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. As of this recording, no arrests have been made. Some of the victims appeared to have been murdered in bed, including the mother of the infant who survived, according to Attorney General Mike DeWine. He said none of the deaths had resulted from suicide. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Caitlin Taggart was a beautiful, lively girl who loved laughing and playing outside, but all that changed at the age of 12. Caitlin slipped into a persistent vegetative state, confining her almost entirely to her bed and Facebook.
She doesn't even have basic motor functions anymore. We literally have to drag her to the car to drive her to school in the morning.
She's totally unresponsive when we talk to her. Her eyes just roll back in her head.
Caitlin, honey, it's your dad.
With no hope that their daughter would ever recover, the Taggarts decided to seek legal permission to end Caitlin's life.
It is the most difficult decision we've ever had to make, but we just keep reminding ourselves that the real Caitlin is already gone. That's just her body texting.
We give her one painless injection, and that's it. Her eyes may flutter a bit, or she may murmur, "Are you for real killing me right now?"
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. You are listening to, for real, live radio is coming out of your radio tonight on a Saturday evening. I know you weren't expecting it, but you can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. And Free Talk Live does, we do something different than other radio programs. We make a program available to you to air your grievances to the world, as it were. It's Mark with you.
Or redress. Chris. How are you, Mark?
Excellent, sir. Thank you.
Good.
The number is 855-450-3733. We, of course, bring things to the table. You do not have to call on the topic, but the chances are good you'll get priority over people who are not calling on topic. And so one thing that I've got to say, this election year, it just keeps on giving. It's been
doesn't it?
Glorious.
I love it.
Glorious, because you never lack for things to talk about, especially Donald Trump. He really just brings flair and excitement to the conversation, and apparently he has he's brought another one.
Believe it or not, this is coming to you from the Blaze, but the headline is Trump walks back pledge to eliminate $19 trillion national debt just weeks after he made the promise in the first place.
So he made a promise to get rid of the national debt of $19 trillion, which would be epic for somebody.
Can't you just picture him in your mind? Just up there on we will wipe out this $19 trillion
the debt. I've dealt with lots of debts.
It'll be amazing.
We will make Sweden pay for it, right? Glorious. It would be glorious. But the thing is about the debt is I don't think you can pay it off.
I don't think so either. I think there's this little thing called interest that I think is constantly accumulating. And the fact that the debt is many times over what our GDP is, so what do? Do you put all of the output of the United States, all of it, towards the debt year after year, and where does that go?
Well, this is the thing about it. You can know how to make money well, and I'd say Donald Trump knows how to make money better than I do.
Agreed.
I'm not going to claim to be a better businessman than he is, but you can know how to make money without really knowing what I think that the GDP was estimated at $17 trillion, so it's not a multiple.
Okay, yeah, but it's close to it.
Yep.
So yeah, take a year where everything that comes out of the United States goes right to the debt, and hey, you're done. It's glorious. It's beautiful. It
shows an ignorance of what money is. He just
very
doesn't,
true.
If he would make that statement, he either doesn't know, or he has a plan to return the currency to some kind of value-backed situation.
Which I don't think he has ever brought up once, and I think he has poked fun at anybody who would dare bring up like gold as a standard. No, we could never do that. That's insane. And I think the big difference here, and this is me keeping the books at my small business versus me trying to operate a central bank or a company. It's finances, which you deal with in business, versus economics, which is how an economy works. And
sure.
Those are two distinctly different things, and I've never felt that Trump was one of the nation's top economists.
I don't think the vast majority of talk show hosts either. People are out here, they're essentially the preachers of politics on the radio, understand what this most fundamental thing is. Money is, if you'll take a look at the top of it, it says a Federal Reserve note. Now, anybody who's got a house knows what a note is. A note is a piece of paper that signifies a debt.
You got it.
The Federal Reserve is not a federal agency. It's no more federal than Federal Express is. It is a group of banks that got together back in 1913, and things have changed since then. But, yeah, they got together, and there's different members and that kind of thing now. But they created a situation where the federal government essentially borrows money from them. They create it, and the Treasury borrows it from them at interest.
Mark, what you're describing almost sounds like a cartel.
Well, I would say that it's pretty accurate. I would say that just about everything the government does is cartelized.
Yes, it's monopolized or cartelized. That's what our government does. It has its fingers in a lot of different pies, and it picks its winners and its losers. And the banks are all powerful because they have been chosen as the winner.
So in the rare occasion where you have a budget surplus, and that happened in my lifetime under President Clinton, 1 year. And everybody wants to, what ignoramuses want you to believe is that better budget surplus was somehow that we were free and clear of all debt. Au contraire, dear listener. That means that for 1 year out of my life that I know of, I mean, I could go back and look a little further, but I was born in 1971. One year that I'm clear on was the United States federal government actually paying on the principal. And the principal is at this point, the principal includes all the interest that's there too.
Oh yeah.
So other than that, the interest just keeps on compiling, and that's why the debt keeps on going up and up and up. So you can have a budget deficit that then adds to the debt.
Correct.
A budget surplus subtracts from the debt, but you have never had a situation in your lifetime or in the history of this nation, barring perhaps how you do the math under Andrew Jackson, the 9th president,
yes.
Okay? That far back, in the very early 19th century, possibly it was paid off. It depends on which economist you ask, but let's just go ahead and say that at that point it was paid off, just for kicks. That means that we are still paying on the Civil War. We are still paying on the relocation of the Cherokee. Okay? We are paying on the Spanish-American War. I mean, this is the reality of what this budget is about.
Absolutely. And the power of the banks, and the true power of the banks, is to, ingratiate themselves with government so that they are the ones that can fund and fuel this. It's good business for them.
Sure.
I get it. The results are disastrous for most of the rest of the world, but I understand their motive.
So I wonder whether somebody explained this to Donald Trump and he walked back his statement, or whether, I don't know. Did he intend to return the currency to value? I'm not clear on what he wanted to do or didn't want to do, but I am clear that the vast majority of Americans don't understand money, how it's created. I only vaguely get it, and I'm still learning all the time on these things, because it's admired in secrecy. I don't know what to tell you. If you want to call it a conspiracy, you can call it a conspiracy, but it's as open as it possibly could be, because either money's backed by something or it's not.
Exactly, and ours is not.
It's not.
Not by anything.
You can't go get a barrel of oil. You cannot go get a bar of gold. You cannot get any of these things. You can buy a bar of gold with money. I'm not claiming that the U.S. Federal Reserve note is valueless. I'm simply claiming that it is backed by debt that the federal government borrows it at interest.
True.
So here's what I would ask you. If you want to pay off the debt, how are you going to do that? I have an idea.
With what?
I know that, Donald Trump could pay off the debt if that's what he wanted to do. But then you would, you'd go into a different sort of money creation system. So, for instance, what's the federal debt? $19 trillion?
$19 trillion, ballpark.
$19 trillion. You mint a coin. You could make it out of platinum just for kicks.
That would be very pretty coin.
Yeah, you could if you want, or you could make 19 of them, or you could make them out of pot metal like the pennies are, pennies that cost 2.7 cents to make.
Take your pick.
There's another stupid government program, creating pennies. Nickels cost 8 cents to create. 5 cents it's worth. It costs 8 cents to create. Only the government could do this crap. And you could just create these coins, and you say, $1 trillion. You make 19 of them, you drop them up at the Federal Reserve, you say, here, debt paid, goodbye.
Yep.
And that's how you could pay it off. But other than that, you can't pay back the debt with dollars. I will point out that the mint is run by the United States government. The Federal Reserve banking system is not.
They are the debtor.
Yeah, they are the lender of last resort, as they are known. Now, China can certainly buy treasury notes and things like that, but they're still all debt, and they're still all at interest. How are you going to pay back the debt? The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
At Van Dyke Mortgage, we would like to thank our military veterans. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. For your service to our country, the Veterans Administration or VA loans are available for active, non-active, and retired veterans who meet the established requirements to assist in buying or refinancing a home loan. The most notable features and benefits for those who qualify are 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance, a variety of terms or loan types, reduced costs for disabled veterans, and no seller prepayment penalty. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted mortgage advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated. So send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can give us a call at 855-450-FREE. We're talking about the national debt. Donald Trump said he was going to pay it off. And then he said, well, maybe not. And I get it. I understand. It's ridiculous. The national debt is ridiculous.
Well, give him credit. At least he, went back on his promise before he got elected. That's unusual, right? Usually they wait till they're elected before they start saying, I didn't really mean that.
Well, when you start thinking about your kids, I have an 8-year-old son. At this point, all he really understands are Legos.
Right.
And playing. He gets that. He owes $60 trillion to the federal government, at least according to them. I would say, no, he doesn't owe it. There is no moral obligation that my son has to give the federal government $60 trillion. But the reality is that when I was 8 years old, there was a federal debt, and you can believe I'm paying it now.
You bet.
So where's the moral obligation that I have? As we pointed out in the previous segment, the federal government hasn't been at zero as far as hasn't been in the black since the Jackson administration in the early 19th century, if then.
And even when we have those like that an anomaly that happened after the contract with America with Bill Clinton and the Republicans, and they actually turned a surplus 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
Did that surplus actually go towards paying down the debt?
I think it did, but it was close. It wasn't that much of a surplus.
I know, but I'm kind of curious about whether they did that or whether it's you get your bonus at work and you're like, I'm buying a new TV.
No, it was a budget surplus. It definitely went to the debt. But you can see how messed up the system is. If you think that, for instance, Obamacare is messed up and you would like to opt out of that system, because that one you can opt out of. You can't opt out of the debt thing without leaving the United States far behind. But you can opt out of the Obamacare situation with a health care sharing organization. This is what is the solution for my family. If you pay most of your health insurance costs, then this is likely a better situation for you than health insurance. For us, the costs were, we have a family of 3, the costs were less than half. Oh, I'm sorry, a bit more than half. Just so I think 55% or something like that.
Wow.
It's a big savings. If you can cut almost in half your healthcare costs, the only thing you got to do is go check them out at joinlhs.com. It's called Liberty Health Share. And they're leading a movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. They're a healthcare sharing organization. And if you don't philosophically or morally agree with a service, you don't pay for it. Now, that's a real big motivator for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it's the pricing. It's the service. They're a great organization, and I think you should consider joining the movement and helping us to change healthcare for good, because this could really work.
You bet.
For a lot of Americans.
And this is completely legal, right?
Completely.
This is in line with Obamacare.
Yeah,
this
is part of Obamacare.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't want you to know about it because it's significantly cheaper. Obamacare was a big old, a pile of cash given on a silver platter to a bunch of insurance companies. But JoinLHS.com. Just take a look. JoinLHS.com. I do have an 800 number for you if you want to give them a call. Just write it down. 1-800-722-8041. JoinLHS.com. 1-800-722-8041. Let's go to the phones. David calling in from Columbia, South Carolina. What's on your mind, David?
Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Excellent.
We're good.
Great. Hey, I'm happy to hear the subject being discussed.
Right, nobody does it.
See, every time I hear the scare tactic, 19 trillion, and then all of the other, it's like, wait a minute, why are you telling us this? What can we do about it? How many of us even can imagine $1 trillion?
It's an incredible sum of money.
Yes. And you're telling me, well, this is how much you owe as an individual. It's like, no, I don't. Because if I did, they will send me a bill. I will continue to be taxed on a monthly, weekly, whatever basis. And you're not going to scare me, because you don't know what the heck you're talking about when you. It's like you guys are just not you guys, please.
Yeah, I know you're talking to like Washington and the news media out there and all that stuff. I get it.
The mainstream.
Exactly. It's like, stop fooling us, because you're not fooling me. You might fool some other dummy out there, but I'm not among them. I
was going to say I think that part of where they try to go is to fool a lot of the people. When you're told every day that the debt is $17 trillion, $18 trillion, $19 trillion, and your percentage of it is $50,000, $60,000, whatever it happens to be, doesn't that play into some people's emotions? Don't they feel that I really do need to do my part to help take care of this so my children aren't saddled with it? Maybe it does squash some of the
I think it's
resistance.
Psychological is all it is. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And another thing, speaking of children, aren't we supposed to each pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps? Let the children, let tomorrow's children or today's children take care of that, when they get there. I think that's what each one of us are doing now.
I feel
We're
like
paying our way.
That's true, except that, there is this debt, right? Like the federal government claims to represent everybody in a given geographic area on a map, this polygon on a map, and they even go so far as to say you will pay us if you're outside of the polygon and you earn more than like $100,000 a year or something like that. So if you go to work in Kuwait or something like that and you make $150,000, they claim that you owe them then too. So they kind of use the debt to some extent to lock you in,
Yeah.
psychologically.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's just I get so tired of it. And then for my, if you will, my fellow American that know not much more than me, if any more than me, will throw that in my face, the debt.
Yep, it's always the debt.
What do you really know about it? What do you really know about it?
Nobody knows anything except that it keeps going up. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it, David. The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Going to Rocky in Annapolis, listening on WIBC.
Hey, how are you guys?
All's well. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, I'm not an economist, but I like your idea of printing 17 coins. But the other question is, why can't we induce artificial inflation? But I know they've been trying to do it by printing a lot more money. Inflation did not catch up just because the world itself, everything is getting inflated, and we're not printing money fast enough. So the dollar is still strong. But if we printed another $17 trillion and induced like 10% inflation and paid off all that debt, would that work?
Well, the difficulty with what you're suggesting, Rocky, is that at this point, all the money that's created, whether it's M1 or M0, is the money that we can touch. So that's bills, coins, things like that. M1 is, M1, M2. These are kind of
they include
things
checkings accounts, just savings accounts.
Rocky, I'm going to explain this to you just a little bit further here. If you'll hold the line, the number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. This is a tough nut to crack.
Yep.
Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about what is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the national debt. Turns out Donald Trump said he was going to pay off the national debt. And then he changed his mind because, well, it might not be possible.
He may have thought about it. One of his handlers may have come to him and said, yeah, about you coming up with a spare $19 trillion over the next 8 years. might be a little harder than it looks.
They almost killed Jackson over this, right? Like Andrew Jackson believed that there were assassination attempts on his life.
Absolutely.
Because of his efforts to eliminate the Second National Bank. And you can go and read that stuff. Andrew Jackson, not a coward, okay? Probably the roughest, toughest president of the U.S. history. And that's saying something when you're putting them up against people like Theodore Roosevelt and, George Washington.
Oh, yeah.
These are, let's just say not a wimp, all right? But there is out there, Trump may actually be the solution to the debt problem in the form of the Trump dollar. Check it out. If you're fed up with the same old thing out of Washington, D.C., and you feel like the political establishment could use a disruptive force, then trump the government with a Trump dollar that expresses your distrust of politicians and the corrupt U.S. political process. The Trump dollar, a symbol of America's resistance to the same old warlike government and a model for a new peaceful monetary standard to make America great again. For just $5, you can get a gorgeous copper Trump dollar at trumpdollar.us. You've got to see him to believe him, hair and all. trumpdollar.us. You do have to see him to believe them. trumpdollar.us. Going back to Rocky out of Indianapolis. Now, Rocky, you had expressed some sort of you had a question. Just rephrase it for me, and I'll get right into it.
So the question was, so we have this debt, and the American dollar is still pretty strong as compared. It has held up itself even after printing like more than a couple $1 trillion in the last 8 years. So what's stopping us from printing another $17 trillion, induce some inflation in the process of the exports, and then pay off all this debt?
So go right ahead, Chris.
No, I would say that my problem with that is you're counting on a central bank and a government that's trying to plan economies to somehow print their way out of debt, and I don't believe that ever works.
Well, the federal government borrows the money in the first place. It's the borrowing that is the debt. So printing the money would necessarily double the debt. That's the problem here is that the federal government doesn't have the ability to print money. Now, there are people out there in the world, they're called greenbackers. They believe that the United States should have its own power to print money. Currently, it does not. It has to go, the Treasury has to go to the Federal Reserve to print money. Right. The only thing the United States government can do is mint coins. That's why I suggested making coins to pay off the debt, because that is still currency, although the Federal Reserve does have some coins. You got it, Rocky?
Yes. You're absolutely right that the Federal Reserve has the only authority to print the money. And I'm not talking about I was talking about the national debt. I'm not talking about the government debt itself, but we could, you have a good point that the Federal Reserve is going to give the money to the government, and government will be again in debt, more debt.
Right. So the money's created through Treasury notes of sorts. Right. So the T-bills and all these other things.
The IOU.
Yeah, those are IOUs. Now, they can be sold to the Federal Reserve, or they could be sold to China or whomever. Like Americans have savings bonds, right? Those are just forms of debt to the government. And all those things out there are, when you look at all those Treasury notes of sorts, they all come up to, if you added them all up, they'd be less than $19 trillion. You wouldn't be able to, like, if they turned them all in, like what they're borrowing on. So the federal government does, in fact, have the dollar backed by something. I said in the previous segment that they didn't. And the reality is they do. They have it backed on the sweat of the brow of every American, because what they're saying is that in the future they will continue to tax us, and that taxation will be based on income and the work that you do, and they will tax the fruits of your labor, and that we will pay back whatever debts we have from that. So that's what the dollar is essentially backed by. Thank you for the call, Rocky.
We promise to oppress our people to pay off your bills.
Well, so taxes, it's difficult, right? Like, I don't support taxes, period, because they come. It's basically a term means a fee enacted by a monopoly. But I would say that an organization that provides a service does deserve to be paid for that service. There's no doubt.
No doubt.
But I think that if we put taxes on cigarettes or liquor in order to dissuade people from smoking or drinking, what do we have an income tax for? To get people to avoid working?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
It seems to be working.
Let's go to the phones. We got John calling in from Indianapolis. Again, WIBC. John, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, quick three-parter on the debt and foreign policy. I was born in 1965, so I've seen a lot of third world countries renege on their debt.
Yep.
And as a parlor game, suppose the United States reneged on all or part of its debt. Who would it hurt more, us or the country that we've borrowed the money from?
Mostly it's been borrowed from banks.
But I hear that, China, Saudi Arabia, stuff like that, countries like that,
they hold some debt.
Haven't they invested in a lot of Treasury notes and,
a lot.
and U.S. debt?
A lot.
I'll tell you, there's a book out. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, the second thing is, how would the debt be used as an instrument of foreign policy, either to prevent conflict or to win a conflict with one of these nations that we're in debt with, depending on, how that would affect both countries. And the third thing is, I'm thinking about cybercrime. You see a lot of, Russian cartels and the Chinese and a lot of Arab countries, hacking and committing cybercrime against, the government, business, and individuals. And what would be perhaps a way to dissuade them is maybe a kind of like a cyber tax, is that any cyber attack that costs U.S. businesses or individuals or government money that we can trace back to a certain country, we just take that off the debt, and maybe that would give these countries an incentive to bring in their own.
Perhaps. I think that you'd certainly have some disputes, and there are international courts and agreements to abide by. But, it might dissuade people. I do appreciate the call, John.
I'll tell you, that reminds me of two books that come to mind. Actually, probably more than that, but anything by Jim Rickards. Have you ever read Currency Wars?
No.
Really fascinating. But he talks about he pretty much was involved in war games at the Pentagon that talked about what would happen if we decided to go on a gold standard. What would happen if we decided that we were going to renege on our debt? What would the implications be, and how would other countries retaliate to that? So where he was going with that call, I think those would be great books for anybody to read.
I think that it's a difficult question to answer because this is the Gordian knot of it all. I used to think it was just conspiracy theory many long years ago when I started doing Free Talk Live. Had no idea. But I've come to believe that the creation of currency is the fundamental issue of corruption and just sort of the overreach of the state.
It's the fuel. It allows everything else to happen.
If you look at the United States government during the Gilded Era,
sure,
that was when it was at its best. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just simply saying it was at its best. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Your opinions are welcome. Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveatpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $7 lower at $1,242 per ounce, and silver is 23 cents higher at $17.27 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $447 US. Gold and silver are trending as changes are underway in the world's monetary landscape. To learn how you can protect yourself, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. We're talking about the national debt. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. Certainly, that's what we do here we do it every day, 7 days a week. You can find us at freetalklive.com. We are on, a whole bunch of stations on Saturday night, but we're on radio stations all across America, 170 of them, 7 days a week. Not too many commercial radio programs do that. I don't think any, too many radio programs, period, do it. 7 days a week. The number, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Brian calling in from, it doesn't say where, Kentucky. You're on Free Talk Live, Brian. What's on your mind?
I tell you what's on my mind. The income tax law, as in the 17th Amendment, has been subject to heated debate through the years.
I think it was
the 16th Amendment.
Okay.
You're
16th,
right.
yep.
Sorry. And, the Supreme Court really is the final authority in the land, and they never have ruled in favor that it's a tax for us. In fact, what they said was it was a tax for corporate gains and profits. 6 times it came before the Supreme Court within the first 10 years or so after the law was enacted. And each time they said, if you weren't applicable to income tax before 1913, you're not after 1913.
But yet they still keep collecting, right?
Right.
They do, but they got the power. They got the guns. They got the perception of power. Now, another interesting thing is that the states never ratified it. They didn't get enough. In fact, one of the chief justices, like in 03 and 04, somewhere in that time period, mentioned that in a case that not enough states actually ratified it to begin with. And
but we're going along like it's true, aren't we?
Absolutely.
We are, and see that's the that to me that's the biggest sham of it all. Is that it's never been ratified, and according to the Supreme Court anyway, who's still supposed to have the final say, said that was for corporate gains purposes. That would, like, if I owned a big business, yes, I would be subject to paying
Brian,
a tax on the corporate gain.
I'm not going to disagree with you because I know this. I know where this rabbit hole goes,
right.
And I've dug it a bit. But the thing is that you can dig forever on this rabbit hole, and it's and basically you end up at the same place, which is that there are a bunch of people who claim to rule you, and they will make whatever rules they want to make. And it doesn't seem to matter much. And frankly, the vast majority of Americans support them. The idea of an income tax doesn't seem to bother them. To me, I consider it to be immoral. I know that an organization that can tax 1% of my income can tax 100% of my income simply because they say that they can.
Right. And they have what to back them up. They have men with guns.
Well, ultimately, that's what a government is, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, and then I think the thing that frustrates me the most as a taxpayer was something at least that Ronald Reagan looked into, to his credit, something called the Graves Commission. I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. That's went and actually studied. He went and studied where the income tax was going, and he determined that it was un-American. Not one penny were the services going from that income tax for things that people were expecting.
No, it's going to service debt, right?
Exactly. It's made us a debtor nation.
Thanks for the call, Brian. Appreciate it. The number's 855-450-3733. Going to Mike, calling in, listening to 1420 in Northern Illinois. Mike, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you. It's 14:10 a.m.
I'm sorry, terribly sorry.
I made an error when I called in. I wanted to mention there's a documentary that was shown in the 70s, and I think you can see it on YouTube. And it explains how the Federal Reserve works, and that essentially when they lend money out, the only way they put it into the system is to lend it out.
Yeah, they lend it out through their client banks, right?
Yeah, but the only way to pay it back with interest is to actually borrow more from them. So it's a scheme that you'll never get ahead on, and you'll never pay off.
It's exactly right. Well, not us individually, because people can become wealthy. They can, accrue assets. They can use loans to make more money. But there will always be people being pushed off the margins.
Yes,
because of the nature of borrowing money and the fact that it can never be paid off. It can never be paid off, and the interest is always accruing. Then people constantly get pushed off the edges.
And part of this social contract is that, by the fact that you live in this country or whatever country you're talking about with
what social contract? I didn't sign anything.
Well, I got your signature right here, Mark. But regardless, you're always going to be on the hook for that as long as you live, regardless, until we actually change how we take care of ourselves. If we insist on these types of governments, then this will never go away. And as long as you have banks that are willing to fund it and to profit by them, and politicians that are willing to get in bed with the banks, then it's the snake eating its own tail.
All people want government for is to make sure that folks don't kill each other, don't rape each other, and don't set houses on fire. And instead what they do is they just reach and reach and reach and reach. They're constantly, we got to do this for the poor, while they shove their pockets full of money. It's just the most disingenuous thing. It's frustrating as it could possibly be. Mike?
Well, currencies on the gold standard also have their problems, but it's been suggested that currencies might have competing currencies.
I like that.
Then you can have something that can rise to the top, and it has to be good to stay there.
Let me talk to you about my friend Bitcoin.
There you go.
Thanks for the call, Mike.
Thanks.
So, bye.
This idea of competing currencies, I think, is really the only solution.
I agree.
And I think Bitcoin is the newcomer on the scene. certainly, gold and silver are long-time currencies. I was always a big fan, but when Bitcoin came, you can send and receive money around the globe without changing currencies. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's still good. It's just, to me, it's a real game changer. And check this out, because this is the big deal as far as I'm concerned, is that you can get something like 25% off of everything that you buy pretty much at Amazon by going to saveatpurse.com. They basically put together a system where you're matched with people who have Amazon credits, and you trade Bitcoin for Amazon credits, and you get the stuff at a huge discount. My family, this is what we've done. We've saved hundreds of dollars. This is like getting a huge raise. This $100 in the last year. This is like getting a huge raise on your job. You'd love to get a 25% raise, wouldn't you? Well, you can get saved 25% off at saveatpurse.com. Go sign up now before somebody else gets your favorite account name or whatever you like to use. saveatpurse.com. Let's go to TJ the Spy. TJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Mark, I have a great investment opportunity for you.
Okay.
Here it is. Here's the pitch. I'm going to pitch it to you. You give me 15% of your money every paycheck, and you'll give me 15%, and I'm going to spend it on stuff. And then in 40 years, when you want to retire, I'll give you back some of that money. Now, I can't tell you how much you're going to get back. I won't know. But I'm going to, invest it and spend it. And, I wanted to know, oh, by the way, if you refuse to participate, I'm going to throw you in jail. So,
this sounds like Social Security.
Hey, tell me more.
You mean they already thought of that?
Yeah.
Darn it. I was hoping to invest. I thought, yes, I would love to force people to invest in a bad investment that I benefit from. And, that's the wonderful thing about Social Security is that from the 50s throughout the 80s, Social Security was pulling in a lot more money than they were paying out. And a Ponzi scheme can go forever as long as the investors don't ask for their money back. And unfortunately, a lot of the baby boomers, they're starting to retire, and I wish they would stop asking for their money back. That's the problem. All these voters want their money back, and they don't realize it's already been spent.
Well, that's ultimately what it comes down to is that the federal government takes this stuff in. Social Security pays out at about 1%, but that doesn't really figure in who it works for and who it works against. One of the things that I love to mention about Social Security is who lives longer, men or women?
Women live longer.
Women live longer. Who lives longer, rich people or poor people?
Rich people.
Rich people.
Who lives longer, black people or white people?
White people.
White people.
So for every rich white woman on Social Security, 3 poor black men had to die to pay it off. It is just a mess. I'm sorry to say the Social Security is a scam.
Well,
it's a scam to
well,
help
don't
rich
worry.
white women.
I'm sure the government is not going to do anything if they see the people starting to ask for the money. They won't do anything to shorten their lifespans, because you realize every time an American who's like 70 or 80 dies, that's less money Social Security has to pay out. So I always thought, wouldn't it be a wonderful conspiracy to start? I don't think it's going to happen, but I could imagine somebody thinking like, yes, the government's going to send around death panels starting executing old people because they're asking for their money back. I thought that would just be a delightful.
In all likely, they'll just change the retirement age.
or perhaps they'll do this.
Retire when you're 100.
Thanks for the call, TJ.
I like the idea that we just tank the economy and everybody has to keep working so nobody's actually able to retire. See? Then you don't have to pay out.
Your call's up next. The number's 855-450-FREE. People are hot on this topic of the national debt and how impossible it is to pay it off. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Hoosier State in Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, April 23rd, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.96 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,232 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $448. Antiwar.com reports for a long time in the U.S. air war against the Islamic State, the Pentagon was blanketly denying all civilian deaths in their attacks, after conceding to only 21 over the course of the entire war up to September of last year. On Friday, the Central Command confirmed another 20 killed since then. This is, of course, a massive undercount, with rights groups reporting nearly 500 civilians killed in U.S. strikes just through August of last year, and more happening all the time. Conspicuously, the new report did not include any of the civilians killed in a pair of attacks targeting physical cache in Mosul, even though the Pentagon had previously confirmed an undisclosed number of killings in those cases. Even more galling, CENTCOM spokesman Colonel Patrick Ryder presented the increasing number of civilians being killed by American warplanes as proof of how cowardly the Islamic State is, even though it is well documented that the Pentagon has repeatedly loosened the rules of engagement to allow them to deliberately attack areas they know civilians to be present in. In most cases, the Pentagon has unilaterally dismissed reports of civilian casualties in airstrikes as not credible, even in cases when those reports were documented by human rights groups and included corroboration from multiple sources.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports federal authorities are trying to track down 500 pounds of commercial-grade fireworks that agents believe were taken off a freight train somewhere in the Midwest. The U.S. Department of Justice announced the missing fireworks on Friday, which were apparently removed from a CSX train that was traveling from Chicago to Detroit. By the time the train arrived in Detroit, rail officials noticed that half of its shipment of fireworks was gone. Authorities are conducting searches in 3 states, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan, where the train stopped during its trip. Federal agents say it's the quantity stolen that makes them extremely dangerous. Officials said they believe 32 cases were stolen in all, which indicates several people were likely involved in the theft. The shells that carry the commercial-grade fireworks measure between 2.5 to 5 inches in length, according to officials, and are the type typically used by governments for large holiday celebrations like the 4th of July. Investigators said they are concerned the explosive material could fall into the wrong hands due to the substantial amount taken. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is expected to issue an advisory for the missing material and possibly a reward in the coming days. Officials aren't yet sure about a motive, but said terrorism is unlikely.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Reuters reports at least 8 people believed to be members of the same family were found shot to death execution-style in 4 homes in Pike County, Ohio, and a suspect or suspects may still be at large, according to officials on Friday. The victims included 7 adults and 1 juvenile, all shot in the head, according to Pike County Sheriff and the Ohio Attorney General at a news conference. There had been earlier reports that 5 adults and 2 juveniles had been found dead. Pike County Sheriff Charles Reeder said, "We have many horrific crime scenes. An infant less than a week old, a 6-month-old, and a 3-year-old survived the shootings, according to officials." Reeder said anyone involved in the shooting should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. As of this recording, no arrests have been made. Some of the victims appeared to have been murdered in bed, including the mother of the infant who survived, according to Attorney General Mike DeWine. He said none of the deaths had resulted from suicide. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After notifying students that there will be no awesome events happening on campus this weekend, Hamilton College Activity Board Coordinator Jessica Wilson from the class of 2015 spoke to Onion reporters about the disappointingly empty days ahead.
On behalf of the entire Campus Activities Board, I would like to truly apologize for failing to live up to the standards expected of us from everyone on campus. And the fact is, we let the school down.
Wilson said that while the board is usually proficient at booking plenty of cool events for all students to participate in, the upcoming weekend will have no interesting lectures, no wrestling match against Amherst, no acoustic coffee house, and no outdoor movie screening of Silver Linings Playbook.
We tried our best to organize a foam party in Dunham Quad for Friday night, but all the foam machines were rented, and we failed. This falls on us. We realize we don't deserve your trust yet, nor do we expect it, but we'll do everything we can to restore your confidence in us, starting with a comedy hypnotist show on Thursday at Minor Theater. Tickets are $5.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
You know, sometimes in radio you take a chance, and one of those chances is when you bring up a topic that is, not exactly mainstream. One of those topics is sort of, the national debt. Everybody knows the national debt exists and that kind of thing. But, when you talk to libertarians about it, you begin digging a lot deeper, a lot faster.
Yep.
A lot of folks say, well, national debt, pay it off. Everybody owes $60,000, blah, blah, blah. That's about it. That's where it all goes.
Or it's all Congress's fault, or it's all the president's fault, and we've got to vote the bums out, yet they'll reelect 94% of them this year.
So Donald Trump, who has just been a gift to the media from I don't know where, but somebody gifted the media Donald Trump. He running for president, Republican frontrunner. He said that he was going to pay off the debt, and then quickly walked that statement back within days. Right?
Yeah. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Sure, this is pretty good. And again, this comes from The Blaze, and this was based on an interview with Fortune magazine published Friday. Trump was asked exactly how he planned to eliminate $19 trillion worth of debt in 10 years and how such a feat would ever be possible. His response, "No, I didn't say 10 years," Trump said. First of all, with low interest rates, you can think in terms of refinancings and get it down. I believe you can do.
He's going to refi the debt? With whom?
You're arguing with me. This is Mr. Trump. I believe you can do certain things to pay off the debt more quickly. The most important thing is to make sure the economy stays strong, the businessman added. You can do it in smaller chunks, you can do it in larger chunks, and you can do it in refinancings.
I like his resolve. I don't suspect he understands how money is created. That's just a guess. That doesn't mean he's not better at making money than I am. He certainly is. I would not, put Mark Edge in one corner and Donald Trump in the other and expect to somehow beat him at this. Not my claim. However,
Libertarian Apprentice.
Yeah,
coming Thursday.
You're fired. Let's go to the phones. I should be fired. Let's go to the phones. Caller from Thomas calling in from Jefferson, Wisconsin. Thomas, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey guys, half the time I disagree with you because you think you're purists and that your poop doesn't stink.
My poop stinks. I can assure you.
Yep.
But I do have one thing, and that is Egypt. We send $3,000 million a year to them currently in foreign aid, with the stipulation that they buy X amount of fighter jets from Lockheed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm with you in that why don't we just write a check to Lockheed Martin and other defense whores.
You think it's safe to call that corporate welfare?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. And you can't always do it directly. Sometimes you have to go through a mediary to get that money where you want it to go, and that's the job of the lobbyist.
So, Thomas, I see you're listening to WXXM, and it's one of the great liberal stations that carries Free Talk Live, and I can totally understand why you do not agree.
I am in a very conservative county, which is Jefferson, but yeah.
You dig the XXM, and so do I.
Carry on.
The thing that I love about this, whoops, oh, sorry, Thomas, for whatever reason it cut out, maybe lost a cell, whatever the deal is. I think that oftentimes liberal folks have it right as far as what the problems are. They're actually looking for them.
Yeah.
It's the solutions. And the thing is that power and money have never been separated. I'm not proposing to drive a stake through the heart of corporations. I'm proposing to drive a stake through the heart of the state. Who gives the corporations their power? For every 1,000 people hacking at the branches, there is but one that strikes at the root. That's Thoreau. I'm pretty sure he was a liberal too.
Yeah.
I propose to strike at the root, and that's it. And certainly I've got to be wrong on some things. There's no doubt about it. Let's go to Joe calling in from Lakeside, California. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thanks for taking my call. I called about health care, but I'll mention one thing real quick. Until we get term limits on Congress, we're going to have a money problem. But what I
don't know if they'll fix it, but they sure won't hurt.
Yeah. You were talking about living longer to get the Social Security imbalance?
Uh-huh.
Well, the government has solved that by doing universal health care. And they will no longer give elderly people the health care they need because they don't want them living longer. So it's a slower way of killing off the elderly. And so you can look at the government having both ends where they're going, monopolize to benefit them in the long run.
Intentional or not, that is certainly the case.
Well, ultimately, the government is a monopoly. The United States government is a monopoly inside the polygon that you've just drawn on the map. And monopolies tend to provide poor customer service at high prices. I do not want them in charge of health care. Thanks for the call, especially the form of Obamacare. Appreciate it, Joe. That basically just hands over huge amounts of money to these insurance companies. I don't believe Obamacare was ever intended to be a solution.
Oh, no.
I believe it was intended to be a greater problem so that you then had to bring in single payer as a solution.
Well, possibly, but look at who drafted Obamacare. Look at who was deeply involved. It was the insurance companies. And I come from an IT background, but I worked with a lot of big insurers, and they were very vested in this. They saw this as the cash cow. This is, if we can, it's like anything else. If I provide a service and I can get government to regulate it, that means they can, number one, protect my business.
You won't have any competition.
Exactly. And now you have it where you are required to buy health insurance. Not that you're required to buy health care. You're required to buy health insurance, and that's where the insurance industry lobby has really paid off.
And that's why my family switched to Liberty Health Share. You can go check them out at joinlhs.com. It was totally a solution for us and completely legal, opts us essentially out of Obamacare. Joinlhs.com. Let's go to Alex calling in. Well, actually, I don't know where Alex is calling in. He's calling in on Skype. Alex, you're on Free Talk Live.
Great to be on here. Good to talk to you, Mark. So, we're talking about international finance, and I just have to say that, the international finance here has really been the bane of of all nations in the modern era. And it's slowly evolved over time, but this sort of forcing us into collectives and then forcing the collectives on top so that they can manipulate the state and use the power is really the most evil, the evilest thing that I think has ever been done to humanity.
And would you agree that this isn't a new thing? We sort of think of this, it's like, the Federal Reserve sprang up, but the big banks in Europe have been doing this for centuries.
Yeah, but the difference is the fact that now you have this elite class of international financiers that they're not necessarily the brightest among us, but they have this sort of monopoly and use force. So
how do I go work for these people? I mean, for God's sakes, I don't want to work for the folks on the bottom of the ladder. I want to be on the top.
Change your name to Rothschild.
Wouldn't hurt.
And I think that this is a winning thing for libertarians, right? We can make inroads with the nationalists of all stripes, whether they be Tea Party folks or white nationalists or whoever.
What do I want to get on the side of the white nationalists for?
Well, I'm saying you can make build a bridge, essentially, and really speak out against this. And I think Invictus has done this really well in his campaign.
Who's Invictus?
Augustus Invictus.
Yeah, I'm peripherally familiar with this guy.
Yeah, I know this guy's running for president. I have heard the term, yes. But he has made the inroads with the white nationalists, right?
No. I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
But I just was trying to think of nationalists in general, right? I was just trying to
lots of nationalists, lots of patriot-type folks out there, no doubt about it. Alex, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Donald Trump says he's going to pay off the debt. I don't think he can do it. I don't think it's possible. Well, I guess I did outline a way. I suppose it's possible. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. I'll tell you about it.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-719-9349. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-719-9349. That's 1-800-719-9349. 1-800-719-9349.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you about the newest and best way to sell products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com. An enormously revolutionary way to sell your stuff online. It's time to clean out the garage, your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the way the other guys have taken more than their share from you when the sales were finalized. Look, it's happened to me over and over and over. Then I found buysellmakeoffer.com. They will never charge you item fees. Just go there right now to sign up and load all your stuff to our server to sell. This is not an auction site. Sell your car, sell your home. Realtor, sign up now. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos, then add your creativity to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and sign up. The excitement is building. I've signed up to sell my stuff with buysellmakeoffer.com. You should too. buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?"
Email 101, if it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, did you get my email? Or emailing to say, I left you a voicemail. If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been talking about the national debt and things related here on Free Talk Live. It's because presidential candidate on the Republican side, Donald Trump, said that he was going to pay off the debt.
No problem.
And then he changed his mind relatively quickly.
Slight problem.
Yes, it's because, and I said that there wasn't any way to do it, but it is darned, unless you change the monetary system itself, it's essentially impossible. The Federal Reserve note, which is, if you look at a bill, that's what it says. You know as well as I do, a note is a debt item. Doesn't take a genius to understand that. If you understand English, a note is an item, is a piece of paper that indicates a debt. It is an item that is backed by debt. It is the Treasury goes to the Federal Reserve, says we want this much money. The Federal Reserve loans that money to the Treasury at interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that's the money that's if you're loaned $20,000 at interest and you aren't able to make any more money because the government doesn't make money, they only get lented by the Federal Reserve. The only money in existence is the money that's been lent by the Federal Reserve,
which is made up out of thin air.
Right. In that instant, it is impossible for you to pay it back because you can never make any more money. $20,000 cannot pay back $20,001. And that's the problem. We have a corrupt, fundamentally broken monetary system that benefits those on the top at the expense of those on the bottom. It was designed that way.
And I brought this up with a previous caller, but this is not a new thing. The banks in Europe have been doing this for hundreds of years, and I can't remember which of the Rothschilds famously said was, if you allow me to control a country's currency, I will control the country.
Yeah, I don't care who's
I'm paraphrasing,
yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is. And we have put so much faith in Wall Street and these big banks that we are at their beck and call, and that's it.
Let's go to John calling in from Madison, also listening on WXXM. John, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hey, how are you? I just want to make a couple comments. Actually, your last few comments you just made now, I didn't dispute so much, but I wanted to say a couple things. First off, Iceland, in the first part of the 20th century, kicked the central bank out. Mm-hmm. Of course, the central bank found their way back in, but right now they're proposing to dump it again.
Yep.
So it's not that the system can't be changed. It's who's running the government that won't change it. First thing. Secondly, you said
Iceland's
about
a
Trump,
much smaller place, and it's also not the world's reserve currency. But go ahead.
Well, wait. Now, you also said that Trump was going to pay off the debt, and then you were kind of laughing about a Trump dollar. But I want to point out that twice in history, the U.S. government has printed Trump dollars. The first time, of course, was Lincoln very famously printing his contemporary Trump dollar, which was the greenback.
Greenbacks. Well, the Trump dollar, hold on, before you go on, John. So Trump dollar is an advertiser on Free Talk Live, and what they do is they make...
I understand, but following through on their little joke,
okay.
Trump could pay off the national debt with the Trump dollar.
I see what you're saying.
The second time that happened was JFK, and the printing presses, of course, were rolling. Despite the fact that there was a Federal Reserve printing Federal Reserve bills, President Kennedy was printing U.S. dollars. Of course, that got him shot.
That's the allegation. I don't dispute it.
Right. Well, so now, but that's having whether or not that was the whole cause of it. The fact of the matter is, whether we're talking about Social Security or anything else, you guys are smart enough. I know you know modern money theory. I would advise, if you don't, check out UMKC, Randall Ray, and Michael Hudson is another good guy on that issue. And both those names you probably do know. But a sovereign government can, at will, pay off any debt it wants.
Sure.
That's plain as day. If you want to pay this debt off, you can. It's just not necessary to do it. So this is like a big red herring issue. Because who gives a goddamn if there's a debt or not? If you want to pay it off, roll the presses and print it and pay it off. Now, I'm going to make one last statement. I'll let you go because now I can listen to the answer. The income tax. The last time the income tax was studied, I think it's Reagan's term, when it was determined that 100% of the income tax, not one penny, goes to be spent on America.
Right.
So what that means, going back to your comment about, fuck this system.
Whoa! I'm sorry, John. I'm really sorry, buddy. I got to dump that out. Let's see whether or not I got it. I had a dream that I was not able to dump a call in time.
Was your hand moving in slow motion towards the button? Just couldn't reach it.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just that, you hit the button. You hope you get it in 6.5 seconds or whatever it is that I've got buffered. And you don't want an F-bomb to go out over 170 affiliates.
Right.
I don't know where John was going with that last point, but again, everybody's welcome to. Basically, you're going to get dumped if you drop an F-bomb, even if it's by mistake. But there's 7 days a week we're on, and you can call in tomorrow and make the point. We'll be on, and dozens of radio stations. So please do. The number is 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Tim calling in from Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. Now, the guy actually said one other thing before you caught it, maybe, the GD, that was
Yeah, the GD...
The FCC doesn't consider that possibly. I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. I can tell you that the Federal Communications Commission is very shifty on what you can say and what you can't say. We tend to be a little tighter on Free Talk Live. Right. I'm willing to let a GD go by a caller if they're emphatic about something. And, I get that I get that somebody calling from that may disagree with us. They think that we're, whatever. So they could be emphatic, and I decided to let it go.
Yeah, that's fine. Now, I was just going to say, he was talking about taxes and whatnot and monetary policy. I know, obviously, we know that the Social Security system is set up as a Ponzi scheme, and also obviously the Federal Reserve is set up as a slave scheme. There's no two ways about it. We're not ever supposed to pay anything off. We're not ever even supposed to use actual monetary, real money. So we don't have real money. We don't have gold or silver, not even copper. I used to say to people, the only precious metals that back up our money today are lead and copper. And if you know what I mean,
not precious metals.
I'm a believer in that too.
Copper basically is a precious metal because it can be used for so many things, but lead is not necessarily. But
I just looked into it this week, and as my understanding, the copper is considered a commercial metal.
There you go.
Commercial, but it's precious in the sense that it can be used.
All metals are precious.
Right. Right.
As is anything, if there's a buyer.
Gold is considered to be probably the most precious because it doesn't oxidize. The oxidation of gold is essentially nil.
Yep.
And if there's any oxidation at all, it's invisible.
It's fascinating stuff. Yeah.
Highly durable.
It is.
And it's a good reason that for thousands of years, gold and silver have been used as currencies throughout many societies, and they still hold their value even at this time. There's good reasons. I don't know if I think that it might be a pipe dream that governments ever return to metal-backed currencies, but I do know the Chinese government is buying metal whenever they get an opportunity with U.S. dollars because they want to get out of them. Do you have more, Tim?
I do.
Hold the line, please. The number is 855-450-3733.
You've woke up to the deception. You understand how big government and corporations are controlling you. Guess what? The trail goes even deeper. When you want to learn the full truth, visit toolsforfreedom.com. We take you further into uncovering the conspiracy than you've ever been before. Click toolsforfreedom.com. Use coupon code RADIO to get a free DVD today. Or call 800-770-8802. That's 800-770-8802. toolsforfreedom.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Jesus Christ visited every tribe in America.
In America?
She's America, absolutely. There's a book that came
he got
out.
around, didn't he?
He was in India.
How did he
China.
get from point A to point B?
He had quite a life.
In a boat.
So they took a boat from the Middle East all the way over to North America?
Absolutely. Archaeologists went and visited different tribes and followed their myths and stuff. And none of them used the name Jesus, but they all described him as a white man with long brown hair and a beard.
Why is it that Jesus is white? That's what I want to understand.
How did a white guy get born to a bunch of Sephardic Jews is what I want to know.
No.
Well, God's white, so I mean, that's how.
Of course he is.
Was the Immaculate Conception. He could make that baby whatever color he wanted to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
I would have never guessed that bringing up the national debt on Free Talk Live would have been such a big topic, such a divisive topic.
Radio gold. Love it.
The number is 855-450-3733. I'm going to mine this gold vein for as long as we can. The number, 855-450-FREE. You can call in, talk about whatever you want. We've been talking about the national debt, what backs currency, Social Security, these kind of things. These are things that are on people's minds, and it's important. Donald Trump just said he was going to pay off the debt, and it's beginning to look like he can't. Well, at least he doesn't have he understands. Maybe he understands how difficult it is now and isn't willing to try it.
You just renegotiate, Mark.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's all you got to do. You just refinance a couple things and the debt goes away. Piece of cake.
We were talking to Tim from Wyoming about his thoughts on the subject. And let's go back to Tim. Tim, you're back on Free Talk Live.
Hey, thanks. I wanted to mention we don't use, obviously we don't have precious metal backing anything. We have our certificates of debt. I tell people all the time, I say that the main thing you have to understand about our monetary system, if you want to call it that at all, is that I point out, I say there's a word right on this multicolored piece of paper that we carry around, and it tells you everything about it. And even people in banks don't understand. And they say, "What's the word? Is it reserve or federal?" And I say, "No, the word right there." And I cover every word up except the one word, note.
Note.
And I say, there's the word that makes all the difference right there. And I say, first off, the Federal Reserve is not federal. It's a private corporation, which we have no control over in our country. It has no reserve. It used to be called the Federal Reserve Banking System. People still call it that sometimes, but maybe they don't understand what it means. But it's not a bank. There's no reserve. It's not federal. There's no bank. It's not a system. It's one group. It's one conglomerate, if you will. I mean, it's not a system at all. It's a system of control.
Wait a second. Partner banks make deposits with the local Federal Reserve banks. There are different ones all across the country. So it's a bank.
Right.
It's a bank for banks.
It isn't really even a bank because if you honestly, the real word, the bank, honest real word would mean someplace where you could actually store something of value. A bank is someplace where you can store something of value. I mean, unless you're talking about a river bank. I have to
disagree with you on this. A Federal Reserve note is valuable. I take them all the time in my business and then exchange them for things. It has value.
Oh, right. Well, I understand that. I understand. And people, when I first started saying it to people, they say, "Well, just give me all your notes and I'll call it good." And I say, "Well, I can't. This is basically what we use this is our exchange medium right now."
Yeah, sure it is.
And that's what it is.
It represents the wealth, which is goods and services and the labor and all that stuff inside the U.S. economy.
Right, I know. I understand that. But at the same time, it's not valuable intrinsically. It's a piece of
Neither
paper.
is gold. This is another term that I think that monetarists really kind of mess up. Gold is valuable because people want it, and they want it for lots of reasons, but it isn't intrinsically valuable. I think there is no intrinsic value, and the only intrinsic value that I could really come up with when I keep on thinking about it is as you dig deeper and deeper is essentially life. Life has intrinsic value because death has no value for anything.
That's true, but and if you have enough gold, you can make other people die. So there's that too. So
and gold has multiple uses. You can do lots of different things. It can be jewelry. It can be used in electronics. That's what's magical about some of these types of metals is it's not just backing currency and giving it more of a value than paper does or debt, but there's an actual market out there where people want to buy it.
Yeah, gold's of value. Debt is, it's valuable too, but it's not valuable to you if you have it. Let's go to Skype. Brian's calling in from, I believe, California. Brian, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Mark. I just called in to dispel the common fallacy, which you apparently perpetuated with that rant of yours.
Okay, go ahead. I'm a fallacy perpetuator. There's no doubt about it. If I can use a fallacy to convince people of things,
mission accomplished.
I believe that people's reasoning is inherently flawed. They haven't spent a lot of time with reason, but I'm willing to discuss reason with you. Tell me where I messed up.
Yeah, sure. And you just made a new one where you talked about intrinsic value, and I'll get into that in my second point about objective intrinsic value. But the main one I wanted to dispel, the fallacy you're perpetuating, is that there isn't enough money in a fractional reserve banking system to pay back loans and deposits.
Okay,
and
there is?
And also, what would you say?
There is then?
Okay. Yeah, there is. And, well, there can be. The banking system isn't necessarily unstable, as you put it. Like, there isn't enough money in the system to pay back all loans and deposits.
Okay, tell me how it's not.
And also, so do you want to run through a little hypothetical?
Quickly, yes.
Okay, so for instance, let's say there's only one good in the economy. Let's say cars, right?
All right.
Someone produces 10 cars, deposits it in a bank, right? Now, what the bank will do will lend 9 of them out.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through the fractional reserve process, but let's just say it's one iteration and he stops there.
We're tracking. So, go ahead.
So he loans nine out to a capital investor. Right?
Okay.
So he takes those 9 cars, makes 10 out of them, like a capital investor would do. Hopefully, if he's successful, makes 10 cars with those 9 cars, pays back the bank 10 cars. The bank pays back the original depositor his 10 cars, and now has 1 left over. So you see, it's inherently stable.
Where did the 11th car come from?
Right, and how do you make 10 cars out of 9 cars?
I thought we just made 10 cars, and somehow the other guy managed to borrow 9 and another one.
I skipped a step here. So what the guy actually – so in a money economy, right, what the guy will actually have to do, let's introduce money. What the guy will have to do is sell the 10 cars out into the market.
Uh-huh.
And in this simple economy, who is he going to sell to? Who's the only one who has deposits in this hypothetical?
The bank?
No. Who actually has those 10 cars on deposit?
On deposit, the first guy?
The original depositor.
Okay.
So what the guy will do is produce 10 cars out of the 9, sell it to the guy who has deposits to the bank, right? So he'll transfer those deposits into his account, and now everything's solvent. So what will actually happen here is now the bank will come out with 1 car. He'll come out with like $1, 1 out of the 10 units. 10 cars. So what the bank actually does is utilizes the production improvements of society and takes advantage of those in order to take reserves, right? So as long as there's reserves in the system and interest doesn't eclipse both reserves and money outside the system, the system is inherently stable. In other words, there's enough money to pay back all debt.
Go on with your second point. I feel like I've just been jilted in 3-card Monte. Go ahead.
Okay, so And in other words, you can see here the banking system isn't necessarily. It can actually provide a net good, right? So
I believe banking is good. I just believe it's been perverted.
No, not necessarily just storing money, but in essence finding ways to utilize unutilized capital, right?
Sure, absolutely,
100%.
We're with you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but there is some fraud.
This isn't a radio program that says bankers are bad. We need to kill all the bankers. I wouldn't say that for a second, but I would say that when you get when you introduce the bankers into the political system and allow them to essentially create the currency and be the lender of last resort for the largest economy in the world, you're gonna see some problems. And I think that the authors of the Memoirs of an Economic Hitman, outline this particularly well in the problems with the International Monetary Fund and these sorts of things.
Yeah. I mean, but you see my example, though. What the bank does is come out with 1 car. Right?
Yeah, they don't get much. I get that.
No, and if you look at it, it equates to the original reserves of the first deposit. Remember, they kept 1 car in reserve? This is what the banking system was inherently created to do, to steal reserves. And when you leverage it, what you do is you actually steal the entire amount. They didn't come up with 10% reserve requirement on a whim, right? It actually makes sense. What it does is it actually steals the original total deposit entered, right? So in a fractional reserve system, if they leverage it out to the maximum of a 10% reserve requirement, they'll actually steal the entire original deposit instead
Thanks
of just
for the call,
one of
Brian. Appreciate it.
It bothers me when
855-450-3733.
Imagine your life 5 years from now. Are you on the path you want to be on? It's time to take control of your future by getting a world-class education from one of the nation's top universities. Arizona State University is now offering over 100 top-tier degree programs 100% online. It's the exact same degree our on-campus students receive, but you can learn from anywhere in the country on your own schedule. For information, call 1-800-939-9426. Learn from ASU's world-renowned faculty and use ASU's global recognition to improve your visibility, professional network, and gain real-world experience you can start using today. The Wall Street Journal ranked ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Now discover how ASU Online can stand out on your resume and help separate you from the competition. We're ready to help you learn to thrive in your life, in your career, and beyond. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-939-9426. That's 1-800-939-9426.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you're having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. We've been talking about the national debt. We started off the show here at, 7 o'clock Eastern this evening with a news article from theblaze.com about Donald Trump and his claim that he was going to pay off the national debt. And then a turnaround in his whoa, I don't know if that's possible.
Just weeks later.
Paying off the national debt in 10 years would be a Herculean task. It'd make shoveling them stables look easy.
8 years. I think he implied that he would have it done within his term.
10 was mentioned in the article, too.
Gotcha.
It's just easier to do the math with 10.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, if he reduced
he did, yeah.
the budget by 4/5 in his term, it would be an amazing task. I don't know what it would do. I think you'd have to change the monetary system entirely and how money's created, how it's brought into circulation to do such a thing. But it doesn't change the fact that the money we have is the money we have. And when you go shopping, you spend that money. When you're doing your online shopping, I would ask you, please, go to shop.freetalklive.com. If you're going to head to Amazon, you're going to head to walmart.com, you're going to do some online shopping, we have affiliate codes. It's an extra click. I know. It's an extra click, and you just want to get to your website, and an extra click is kind of a pain in the butt. But it really helps us. And what Free Talk Live does is it does something that other radio programs don't do for you. We are a national stage for you to air your opinions, as long as your opinions aren't one of the 7 dirty words.
And let me tell you, one thing I did when I first found out about this show, years and years ago, but when this shop.freetalklive, that's what I copied.
Shop.freetalklive.com, yep.
That's what I copied in, and that's on my toolbar for Amazon. When I click on that, it gives you guys a little bit of money, and that's a good thing.
You can go there, find the flag of your nation, if you're Canadian or American or British or whatever, and you can save that, and then you can just go to that bookmark link whenever you go. Just bookmark it and save it. Let's go to William, calling in from Virginia. William, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, great. How are things there in WNIS land?
Not too bad. So I've just got one quick line, and then I'll be done, and you guys can roast me off the air.
You don't want to be on the air to get roasted?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Fiance's sending me in for groceries, so I've got to cut the line anyway.
Yes, you do, sir.
So in order to get rid of the national debt, I know it will never happen, but I think the easiest and the best way to do it would be to put a 1 cent across-the-board federal tax on everything.
A 1 cent tax on everything, okay?
Yeah, and it's just everything you buy, 1 cent goes to the government to pay down the federal debt.
And there you go, problem solved.
Earmarked, you mean? So it would be an additional tax, basically, on top of everything else we've got. This is a 1 cent purchase, 1 cent tax.
I buy a piece of nickel candy, it costs me 6 cents.
You buy a car, it costs you a penny more, right?
Penny on the dollar, yeah.
Oh, penny on the dollar.
That's a 1%.
Okay. I guess the difficulty of this is they proposed the fair tax in the past, and we're talking about 17%. What you're saying is that remember, the federal government is already running on a deficit at this point. I don't know if your 1% is going to make a difference in I don't think it'll pull us out at the spending rate they currently have. I don't think it'll pull us out of this spiral.
And I'll tell you,
we'll have to go up.
And my problem is every time we do provide more revenue to the state just spends more. And that's why, regardless of what we take in, they have this propensity to. We're still going to run a deficit. We're just going to run a bigger deficit.
William, any thoughts? I'll let you go.
And you guys have some great arguments, and probably just trashed mine. So.
Thanks for the call, William.
Thank you.
Get those groceries. The fiance's word is you might as well learn now, pal. You're late coming back.
Certain immutable truths.
Yeah, right. But I was talking to these guys on the radio about the national debt.
It does not matter.
She doesn't care. She doesn't care.
And that's okay.
Indeed. So the fair tax was proposed in the past, and I hate using the term fair in conjunction with the term tax. But the idea was I think it was going to be 17%, and that was going to eliminate the income tax. I like the elimination of the income tax simply for the fact that I don't fill out these forms. My wife does do hers, but there's the incredible amount of labor.
Yeah, it's
waste
insane.
in the economy that goes into the reams and reams of paper. We on what was done with our taxes in the past is it was 40 hours. My wife estimated for the taxes for our household. That's a week's worth of labor out of 50. It's 51. It's one out of the 52 weeks that you get in your life per year.
Well, this is incentives and it's unintended consequences. So the government recognized, or at least the progressive era, that convinced everyone that we needed more revenue to do all these great things to take care of you. But then the unintended consequences is, okay, to do this, we have to create a grand bureaucracy which wants to make sure it perpetuates itself. And now you've created a bureaucracy whose goal is to feed more into the government and keep themselves in a job, and it steamrolls. This is what we got.
Look at these social welfare programs. They spend more money on middle-class government bureaucrats than they do on poor people.
Yeah.
That's not a good plan. That's not how they do charities.
And to the last point, I mean, my real problem was saying, okay, well, we'll just raise a 1% tax, and that way the people of the country can pay it all off. Well, I take a little offense to that because I didn't spend all that money.
That money goes back as far as before the Civil War.
Exactly. Most of the spending occurs by bureaucrats, money appointed by, approved by Congress. But again, bureaucrats are spending this money, and I have no control over them.
That money was, started out for cannons that were packed with black powder, ships that were driven by sail, horses.
Just give me a cannon. We'll call it quits. I'm good.
Okay, let's go to David calling in from San Francisco. Listening at freetalklive.com. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, honey. Hey, have you all ever heard of the LIBOR scandal?
Yes. That was a few years ago in England. The banks were messing with the numbers, but you probably do better than I. Go ahead.
Well, it's actually if you go back to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's rolling along, and then all of a sudden, interest rates just kept jumping and jumping and jumping. And my dad's house was, I think, a 3% loan. But if you were on VA from either the Korean War or World War II, you could get a house at a 1.5% mortgage rate, 1.5%. So the baby boom is basically facing, 3 to maybe 4%. 5% was considered ugly, and but during Jimmy Carter, it just went crazy.
Yeah,
and
sure
nobody would stop it. No attorney general in the 50 states did anything to stop it going to 15%, 20. It eventually went to 22%.
Was that for a mortgage?
For a mortgage, yeah.
Okay.
And this was and almost every state in the nation had laws, usury laws. And I was from Missouri. Usury in Missouri was 7%. Yet nobody prosecuted these banks for going over 7%. And I think actually Utah was, being a Mormon state, very religious. They actually had a 0.7% usury law, and they never stopped.
Nice.
So the whole concept of interest rates going insane helped drive Jimmy Carter out of office. The hostages was one thing, but the interest rates was the real thing.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. The hostages were the sort of the news story, but people generally felt,
the economy tanked.
Yeah, it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah.
And the Jimmy Carter had ties with, it wasn't Bilderbergers back then, it was the Trilateral Commission. And these were the Rockefeller types who, and so he was seen as being in the pocket of the Trilateral Commission, the kind of the neocons of the day who really didn't care anything about America. They just wanted their money. So the LIBOR was created. Ronald Reagan said, well, we can take care of this through market forces. And so the LIBOR was created, and it wasn't created in America. It was allowed to be created in Britain, and that the world's 16 largest banks would have a guy, say, in a secret room, and all of the 16 different banks of the world, the biggest banks in the world, would toss data over the transom, and then this guy in this room would set average interest rates.
David, I'm going to have to let you go. We're at the top of the hour here. The number is 855-450-3733. It's
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $7 lower at $1,242 per ounce, and silver is 23 cents higher at $17.27 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $447 US. Gold and silver are trending as changes are underway in the world's monetary landscape. To learn how you can protect yourself, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Hoosier State in Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, April 23rd, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.96 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,232 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $448. Antiwar.com reports for a long time in the U.S. air war against the Islamic State, the Pentagon was blanketly denying all civilian deaths in their attacks, after conceding to only 21 over the course of the entire war up to September of last year. On Friday, the Central Command confirmed another 20 killed since then. This is, of course, a massive undercount, with rights groups reporting nearly 500 civilians killed in U.S. strikes just through August of last year, and more happening all the time. Conspicuously, the new report did not include any of the civilians killed in a pair of attacks targeting physical cache in Mosul, even though the Pentagon had previously confirmed an undisclosed number of killings in those cases. Even more galling, CENTCOM spokesman Colonel Patrick Ryder presented the increasing number of civilians being killed by American warplanes as proof of how cowardly the Islamic State is, even though it is well documented that the Pentagon has repeatedly loosened the rules of engagement to allow them to deliberately attack areas they know civilians to be present in. In most cases, the Pentagon has unilaterally dismissed reports of civilian casualties in airstrikes as not credible, even in cases when those reports were documented by human rights groups and included corroboration from multiple sources. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports federal authorities are trying to track down 500 pounds of commercial-grade fireworks that agents believe were taken off a freight train somewhere in the Midwest. The U.S. Department of Justice announced the missing fireworks on Friday, which were apparently removed from a CSX train that was traveling from Chicago to Detroit. By the time the train arrived in Detroit, rail officials noticed that half of its shipment of fireworks was gone. Authorities are conducting searches in 3 states, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan, where the train stopped during its trip. Federal agents say it's the quantity stolen that makes them extremely dangerous. Officials said they believe 32 cases were stolen in all, which indicates several people were likely involved in the theft. The shells that carry the commercial-grade fireworks measure between 2.5 to 5 inches in length, according to officials, and are the type typically used by governments for large holiday celebrations like the 4th of July. Investigators said they are concerned the explosive material could fall into the wrong hands due to the substantial amount taken. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is expected to issue an advisory for the missing material and possibly a reward in the coming days. Officials aren't yet sure about a motive, but said terrorism is unlikely. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports at least 8 people believed to be members of the same family were found shot to death execution-style in 4 homes in Pike County, Ohio, and a suspect or suspects may still be at large, according to officials on Friday. The victims included 7 adults and 1 juvenile, all shot in the head, according to Pike County Sheriff and the Ohio Attorney General at a news conference. There had been earlier reports that 5 adults and 2 juveniles had been found dead. Pike County Sheriff Charles Reeder said, "We have many horrific crime scenes. An infant less than a week old, a 6-month-old, and a 3-year-old survived the shootings, according to officials." Reeder said anyone involved in the shooting should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. As of this recording, no arrests have been made. Some of the victims appeared to have been murdered in bed, including the mother of the infant who survived, according to Attorney General Mike DeWine. He said none of the deaths had resulted from suicide. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Video game players love customizing every aspect of their character. One game, Elder Scrolls Online, has set a new bar for character creation by letting players design every organ and cell in their avatar's body.
In Elder Scrolls Online, you get to play as whoever you want to play. You are in control of everything from your character's face to their hair to their arteries. We're not just going to give you some pre-made bones and ligaments. You get to create the musculoskeletal system that's right for you. You can even alter the DNA.
Are all of these changes just cosmetic?
No, not at all. They have a huge effect on game playing. If your character's body has any anatomical flaws, they could die immediately.
Beta testers say that designing every aspect of their character is a compelling experience.
I've been designing my orc's liver for 5 hours now. This is awesome.
Designing the hands is the hardest part. I keep having to look up how all the joints connect.
Players can also press the randomize button to get a completely random collection of body parts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. The national debt is $19 trillion. More than 40% of Americans can't lay their hands on $1,000 if they need it. And Americans are arguing about which potty people should have to use. This is the state of media in America. If you're sick of it, well, the number is 855-450-3733. You can't complain because you are the media now. You can call in with your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. We're talking about the debt currently Not to say that you have to talk about the debt, because it's Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
And so you can talk about whatever you want on Free Talk Live. But I'm interested in the debt, and this is a topic that really took legs this evening. I'm really kind of surprised. The number is 855-450-3733, or you can use Skype. Our username is lrn.fm. We'll have to add you. It won't take but a minute. Username lrn.fm, 855-450 free. Let's go to Dave calling in from Indianapolis. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hello, hippies. Happy Saturday night. Well, you know...
By the way, Dave, I don't mind getting called a hippie by you. I'm just amused that my friend Chris Reitman sitting across the aisle from me here. Chris, you've got short gray hair. And what are you packing there underneath that shirt?
Probably a Glock 19, I think, is what we're wearing tonight. Yeah.
Well, Chris, originally the reason why I call in with that is because the two jokers here that originally started taking my phone calls, I assumed were drenched in cannabis.
Only one of us.
You know. So, and every time we talked about pot, they just completely flipped out, because apparently I offended their sensibilities that weren't stunted by that evil demon weed that you two, you
go ahead, Dave.
Okay, anyway, you were talking about the debt, and funny, you were talking about the debt because I just figured out alchemy. I've just finished the recipe right now, so we don't have to worry about it.
Excellent.
Thank goodness.
To the Treasury. In all seriousness, what you would have to do to really address the debt is to invoke one word, which people really haven't studied. I don't think they understand it, but that word is federalism. And what happens in federalism is all this garbage that the federal government does, all these sacred cows that run around with names like Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare stamped on their big, fat, overblown butts, you would have to slaughter those programs. You would have to abolish the federal welfare state. And
don't forget all the welfare, the federal welfare dollars that go to the military. It's half of the budget.
Well, in
discretionary
all
budget.
You can make an argument that the military is enumerated, whereas cell phones...
Oh, it is. 100%.
Yes, are
it's
not.
Yeah, constitutionally, yes.
and the military is much bigger than it would need to be to protect the United States. It essentially, the U.S. Navy keeps all the shipping lanes free for the whole world. Isn't that just welfare for places like Iceland, Sweden, and...
You have a big Navy because you want to ward off an attack by somebody who might be thinking about attacking you. Now, I understand that they cruise the international waters, but I can find justification for a military. Other than that, now, if you want to talk about the sinking ship, that's one thing. I'm more concerned lately here with getting off of the sinking ship, and that's a lot of non-participation. If I was up on the podium, I know that the monster is not going to quit eating and not going to quit spending.
Yep.
So what I would do is I would offer Americans a choice. If you don't want to be involved in Social Security, you can opt out. I would be wholly...
It seems completely fair, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Keep the money you've taken from me. I'm 45 years old. Keep it.
Yeah,
Let me keep the rest, and I'll invest it.
I can make that back in 10 years plus.
Yeah.
It would be nice.
I could triple it in 10 years, yeah. So I think right now non-participation, and sadly, I think an event outside of the country is going to finally be the last straw. I think maybe, if our currency is deemed worthless by, the world economies, something of that stripe. But, these Bernie bots out here, man, I mean, now they're saying that Donald Trump hates puppies.
Donald Trump what? I'm sorry, you dropped out there, Dave. Donald Trump
hates puppies. Hates puppies.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. So anyway, we're trying to have a logical conversation with people that basically, live in the Marvel comics. They don't have a sense of reality. They think that money really does grow on trees. But anyway, keep the faith. I love the fair tax. It's not a value-added tax. And keep
it's darn like a value-added tax.
No, the fair tax isn't. No,
it's a lot like it. It functions like one.
Well, yeah, but that's like saying a lizard is like a Cadillac. I mean, come on, you're not. And anyway, Chris, when you really get serious, go out and get an M&P, and you'll throw that Glock away, bud.
I have an M&P. I also have.
Oh, do you? All right, what caliber?
9mm, just M&P Shield. Okay. It's a good little carry gun. The other one I carry a lot is the H&K VP9. I really like that.
Wow, that thing is slick, isn't it?
Tack driver. I shoot that very well.
All right, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Gun Talk Live. Thanks for the call, Dave. Just out of curiosity, isn't H&K essentially the gold standard when it comes to these things? I don't want to be an endorsement.
Man, I'm not going to open that door. They make a very nice gun,
okay.
But there are a lot of manufacturers that make really great guns, and a lot of manufacturers that make a lot of crap. So it's a matter of preference. I'm kind of a Glock guy because they all are exactly the same. I shoot them all well.
Go to Ryan calling in from Indiana. Ryan, you're on Free Talk Live, listening to WIBC.
Yeah, I was wanting just to, I'm very ignorant in the subject, but if they would stop spending and lower the income tax rate and have more businesses and corporations put their money into the country, into investments, and and create more businesses here, which will create more jobs. I was just wanting your thoughts. Would that create more money that they could put at our debt? And I guess that's all I have to say.
That's the theory to trickle-down economics.
Right.
All
Go
right?
back to the Laffer curve.
Right. And Art Laffer makes a great argument for it, and it was to some extent implemented during the Reagan administration. But the difficulty is the devil's in the details on these kind of things. And the problem is with government is that rich people have always had governments in their pockets.
You bet.
That's just the nature of them. So when we talk about trickle-down economics, I say it would work in models. But in reality, sadly, what ends up happening is that the taxes get offloaded to the middle class, and the rich manage to dodge them.
And because of the Reagan years, we do have evidence that it did work. It did. The federal government took in more revenue. These are all terms I hate to use because they all drive me nuts. But we did bring in more tax revenue when we decreased taxes. Now the belief.
You didn't get any of it.
God, I know. It's a social contract keeps popping up. But the point is conservatives will still bring that up and say, well, that's just the solution. All we have to do is lower taxes, and then everything is all hunky-dory.
But the government grew and grew afterwards.
It did. We're dealing with a much different animal, and we're dealing with systemic problems. We're not just dealing with the fact that we spend more than we take in. Bureaucracies and where we're at as a global superpower and our imperialism, these are all levels that were unknown then, and I don't think you can expect exactly the same result.
Ryan, I know you weren't advocating for Republicans, but this is sort of a Republican economic talking point. What I would point out is from the year 2000 to the year 2006, there was a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican White House. And in that time period, government spending grew by 60%. We saw, I think it was Tom DeLay. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Tom DeLay who said, "We have cut government spending to the bone." They had grown it by 60% over the Bill Clinton administration. And this is kind of what happens when one of the parties gets the ability. They're going to do the things they're going to do. They'd grown the intelligence apparatus. They'd grown the military apparatus. They'd instituted what they call Republican welfare, which is jokingly called Republican welfare, which is essentially benefits for people who go into the military. The intention is that everybody, goes through the military and that kind of thing. And I don't see a lot of evidence that the government's going to stick to its side of the deal, Ryan.
Okay, so I have another question, too.
Hold the line, then.
It's kind of different.
Hold the line.
Okay.
855-450-3733, Free Talk Live. Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveatpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveatpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Mother's Day is next week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing special. 100 stunning blooms for mom, plus a free glass vase for $19.99. Go to proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 3434. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. With fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift, Pro Flowers has everything you need to be a gifting expert on Mother's Day. Order now from Pro Flowers to get huge savings. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 100 colorful blooms sent fresh from the field and guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $19.99, and will include a free glass vase. Hurry, Mother's Day is next week, and this incredible special expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to go to proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 3434. That's proflowers.com, secret code 3434.
Shipping charges not included. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-453. And you can call in and talk about whatever you want to talk about. We've been talking about the national debt, the monetary system, and those kind of things. I never expected this topic to take legs like it did, but people are talking about it. Donald Trump's talking about it. Said he was going to pay off the debt in his term or close to it.
8-10 years, piece of cake. Well, maybe not.
Not so much. He changed his mind on that. So, and I think that's the wise decision. By the way, I'm not trying to smear Trump here.
I'm not either, but Fortune magazine, when they interviewed him, they started pressing him for details, and that's where not just Donald Trump, but a lot of politicians, they don't have all the facts right there in front of them, and that's kind of an answer you get from them.
I do have a fact for you, though. Mother's Day is coming up, and if you don't have something for Mom, you're going to be in big trouble, mister. Or Mrs., for that case. I have a suggestion, and that suggestion is Sherry's Berries. Now, Sherry's Berries, I just ate the 4 that were allotted to me from the shipment that we got in this week, And these are some of the best things you're ever going to put in your mouth. They're delicious. They're premium berries. And by that, what I mean is they're not, when you go to the grocery store, half the berries you eat are sour, not Sherry's berries. They're all premium. By the way, the other half, they cull about half of the berries that they get, and they buy high-end berries already. They cull about half and send them off to homeless shelters.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they are the best of the best berries. They're dipped in white, dark, and milk chocolate. Nuts, swizzles, little chocolate chips. They're delicious. They're gorgeous, and Mom will love them. Buy enough so that you can have some too, because Mom's going to want, she's going to want a if you don't buy enough to satisfy her, you're not getting any, pal. So go to berries.com, BERRIES.com. There's a microphone in the upper corner of the page. Click on it and use my code FTL. That's FTL as in Free Talk Live, and you'll save money. This is the only way to get the amazing deal that we have. They start at just $20, or you can double the berries for $10 more. It's a great deal and an exclusive offer for my listeners. Visit berries.com, click on the microphone in the upper right-hand corner, enter FTL, and it's for a limited time for Mother's Day. It's coming up, and you don't want to miss it. Get it done ahead of time. By the way, you can buy other gifts. It doesn't just have to be this one, but this one will stand out.
So,
berries.com.
When I walked in here, there was a very attractive box on the corner of the table that was also very empty. I kind of looked at it, and I thought, I wonder what that was.
Yeah, I ate him before you came. And I'm not sorry.
That's all right. I'm going to show up earlier next time we do this show together.
Let's go back to Ryan in Indiana. Ryan, you said you had something else, but you never had a chance to spit it out.
Yeah, I called last Saturday about the convention of the states. I don't know if you remember, or last Saturday. And
I don't know if I remember that call, but we've talked about the conventions of the states in the past, and I think it's a fine idea.
Yeah, what I'm getting, it has nothing, well, it kind of has that, but I've had a question that when the formation of the government started and the federal government was supposed to be limited with, the protection of the states and everything, the states were supposed to have all power for their states. When they started doing the taxes, to me, it makes more sense instead of the states asking for the federal government to get money for schools and the other things that the states, and all these welfare things that they get from the federal government. Why doesn't the states get together and they control the majority of the tax money for themselves, and they give the federal government so much money that they would need to do the things as a limited government would do?
Yeah, well, that was the original intent. That was the original intent of our founding fathers. I mean, that's what they wanted to do, was a very small, limited federal government. And that all really changed with the progressive era, the late 1890s or early 1900s.
I want to read, this is something I researched for, I get a lot of different show prep. This is something I researched for this evening, possibly bringing up in conjunction with the Houston floods. I want to read what Democrat Grover Cleveland said in, I think it was the 1880s. Federal aid in such cases, they're talking about giving aid to hurricane victims, encourages the expectation of paternal care on the part of the federal government and weakens the sturdiness of our national character.
Wow.
That's what a Democrat said in the 1880s. And Republicans on both sides, they disagreed and agreed with this particular statement. But that's what a Democrat president said at the time. Yes, there is no federal role for that sort of thing from a constructionist standpoint. Ryan?
Yeah.
Thanks for the call.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, if with the convention of the states need to get together, if the federal government keeps spending out of control and no one likes the candidates that these two parties are putting, maybe it's time for the states to get together and take the power back and do it. It's just an idea.
The states are taking power back. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Ryan. The states are taking power back in the sense of marijuana. They're saying, hey, look, we're sick and tired of your federal drug war. It isn't working, and we want different stuff. Now, there are room for referendums on the state level. There's no federal government referendum. You can't vote on a particular issue when it comes to the federal government.
Right.
And that is, among the reasons why it's messed up is that particular reason. It's bureaucrats feeding bureaucrats.
And I'll tell you that this is why I donate a little bit of money to the 10th Amendment Center every single year. They promote nullification. Nullification simply means the states do not recognize that the federal government has a particular power, so they ignore the law. They just defy it. And that's what you had in Colorado, Washington State. You have that with gun laws. That is the proper when the federal government's the only one who can decide whether the federal government is actually doing things legally. The states, as party to that contract that we call a constitution, have every right to say, nope, we're not doing it.
It doesn't have the features of a contract. Let's go to Robert in Virginia. Robert, listen to WKLN.
Noted.
You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'm taking my call. So I just wanted to step back and make that comment about the Trump thing. There's no way he could personally do the debt thing. But even if he did, he's the kind of guy who'd be like, all right, guys, now you owe me one. Right?
Who would owe him at that point? The taxpayers?
Sorry?
Who would owe him? The taxpayers?
Oh, yeah, no, the people, right. No, I bailed y'all out. I bailed y'all out.
Oh, you mean that Trump would pay it off himself?
Or no, I thought that's what y'all were saying.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me explain the situation for you. Forgive me, Robert, if I did not explain it properly. So Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump said that he would have the debt paid off in 10 years. Now, I didn't get the expectation that he was going to do it himself, but that he was going to set up a taxation and spending situation that would pay off, basically $1.9 trillion, every year would be the idea. And then he found out that that probably wouldn't work exactly the way he had hoped. But thank you for the call, Robert. I really appreciate you calling in and listening, and you can call too. The number is 855-450-FREE. It's 855-450-3733. Or our username on Skype is lrn.fm. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices.
Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for lrn.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to lrn.fm. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can call in and talk about whatever you want. We're talking about the national debt, and I guess I'm surprised that the conversation has had the legs it has had. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to the phones. Calling in from Indianapolis, it's Mark on the line. Mark, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I hope I can get this all out. I got a conspiracy theory why the people are ticked off or pissed off. Here it is. The debt, if I understand correctly, the debt fair enough to say that the debt has gone outrageous or wild over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so here it is. This is awesome. All right. Who's hoarding all the money? Who's hiding their cash? Who's avoiding taxes? The big businesses. This is all hearsay. This is what I hear on the radio and everything.
Yeah, I heard it. I've heard the same stuff.
Okay,
Sure.
So they're hoarding all their money. They're hiding it all. Okay, who buys out government? The big businesses. Okay, we got a conflict of interest right there by itself. Okay, so because the government's not going to go after the big businesses because they're being paid by them, so they can hide their money. Okay, there you go. There's that part of it. Now, we got the employee, that purchasing power, if I understand correctly, and it probably explains why I'm working 70 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week now. Purchasing power is, I thought, about $8,000 under where it should be. I could be wrong on that. Say it's $5,000, $8,000, somewhere in there. Okay? All right. So with that in mind, think about a company that has 100 employees, and the CEO used to make $200,000 a year, but is now making $1 million a year, plus or minus. And so if you take that 100 employees, he has an increase of income of about $800,000 based on the numbers I just gave you. An increase of income of $800,000. He's got 100 employees. These 100 employees actually have a purchasing power decrease of $8,000. That's $800,000 a year missing of raises that the employee should be receiving. Now here's the final one. $8,000 a year times 20 years is $160,000 that all these employees have lost over the last 20 years of on averages or whatever, but have lost over the last 20 years. So we're a bunch of chickens running around with our heads cut off going, blah, blah, blah. The debt is going up. Oh my gosh, I got to work 80 hours instead of 70 now. Oh my gosh, we don't owe any money. It's the corporations and the government and the CEOs and those who have got these astronomical pay increases over the last something years because their purchasing power has gone up by tenfold. All right, there you go. I'm dying to hear who's going to fix this problem.
Oh, it isn't going to be the government.
And I don't think it's going to be Mark or I either.
Thanks for the call, Mark. The thing is you can't sort of prove or disprove these kind of things. I tend to think that it's inefficiency as opposed to really kind of CEOs or anything like that.
Well, he brought up a couple interesting points. He brought up the fact that purchasing power is down, and that's a product of monetary inflation.
Sure.
The more we print, the less it's worth. So he brought that up into it. He brought up the fact that big businesses buy governments, which is absolutely true. That's what lobbying is. So I think he was dead on that. And I think his math was just convenient to fit his model, but it illustrated a couple points.
I think I love the meme that I've seen on Facebook. It has 5 silver quarters.
Mm-hmm.
It says in 1964, and that's when quarters were silver.
Yeah.
That the minimum wage was $1.25, and that now the minimum wage is $7.25 or something like that. But that those 5 silver quarters are worth $15 as far as their melt value.
Right.
That the problem isn't with the government. The problem, in the regulation or anything like that, the minimum wage. Stop trying to fix the minimum wage. Fix the money,
right,
and you'll fix the minimum wage. Let's go.
Oh, go ahead. You want to go to the call? Go ahead.
Yeah, let's go. Randy calling in on WIBC in Indianapolis. Randy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, hi. Yes, I just had you all on. This is one of my things too. I think all of us. What I wanted to say is this: my objection is the size and the growth pattern of what's supposed to be the government instead of the country. And if you look at the actual statistics, we're the most productive workers on Earth, is what they say. We work normally more hours and more days than anybody else. We take less vacation, all that kind of thing. So we're very, very, very hardworking people, and we're willing to share everything we can. But this situation for me is this: you have a hidden gorilla here, and it's like just continually tearing things up. So you have no oversight on these agencies that come out of nowhere, and they bring them up. They have a little committee meeting somewhere, and it may start off at a county or a district level, but all of a sudden you've got the federal in it, and so you have things like social engineering. There's something for every different area that you can just go on forever creating reasons for an office. But if you look at it as I have, having a company of my own, a couple of them, if you look at the startup costs for any individual trying to start a company that would be adding to the economy, the startup costs are pretty tough. And they tell you, and they told me several times, there's no money. We just don't have any money. I'm sorry. So you have to get it somewhere else. All right. But at the same time, once you start your company, you start getting mailings and billings from people who don't exist, that are part of some function of the government that you have to pay into because now you're employing people. And so then they have to monitor you. And so I thought to myself, if you took a small office, say 20 or 30 people, and amortize that out over a period of years and see what the cost is for that before, if it were functional, would be say out of the red. The government does this, and they not only do it there, but they do it exponentially because they start them all over the country. And I thought, well, if you go to do that, you're going to outfit it with furniture, desks, whatever, computers, all that. Then you've got to have recruiting, so you have to bring people in. You have to have good people, to go through all that and try and, divine who is going to be worth hiring. So all these costs, they do this, and they don't blink an eye. And then the other thing is nobody sees what their performance level is or if they perform at all.
Yeah. No accountability.
Working for the government means you never have to say you're sorry.
Yeah, and so I just look at it, I say, well, like the social engineering thing. They're doing this all over the country, and they started it way back, and it was not talked about much up in Chicago. But they were buying homes in $1 million home areas and plus, and they were putting people who were on welfare. And I'm not trying to knock welfare people because when I was a child, my parents were on it once in a while, so I know about what that is. But to think that you're going to infuse someone who has all those abilities, and you're not going to help someone by taking them out of a poor neighborhood and throwing them where they don't belong because now they're so self-conscious, they don't want to go out the door. They're completely paranoid, and then the people in the area are wondering what the hell is going on. And so, they try to make this out as a racial issue, and it isn't. If you aspire and you work your way into an area, then you fit in and you feel comfortable. And it's not that people from other areas aren't just as equally as a human being. It's just that you're not ready for that yet, so you don't feel comfortable that way.
Thanks for the call, Randy.
To give you.
I was listening to NPR today. They were talking about people winning money in the lottery, and basically folks that get free money just don't know what to do with it.
They spend it all.
Right. That one of the best educations on what money's worth is earning money.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones here and go to Jay calling in from Jacksonville, Florida. Jay, you're on Free Talk Live, listening on TuneIn.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Jay.
I agree with y'all. I don't think the government's going to save us or do anything like that, or any individual candidate will save us. But what Trump has put out there, I think is a good start. And what I've seen is he wants to pretty much anyone that makes under $100,000, no taxes. He wants to lower corporation taxes, small business taxes.
I make less than $100,000. I want to pay no taxes. Thanks for the call, Jay.
Thanks.
Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
How would you like to make 17% on your money in only 90 days? That's right, gold owners made 17% in only 3 months as gold had its best quarterly gain in 30 years. Gold is on the move, and you need to get government-issued legal tender gold coins starting at only $139 each. The U.S. Money Reserve, one of the largest gold distributors in the country, announces the first-ever at-cost gold release on this station for only $139 each. 1-866-944-GOLD, or go online at usmoneyreserve.com. Official U.S. government-issued legal tender solid gold coins at cost for only $139 each. Call 1-866-944-GOLD. Ask for a free 55-page gold buyer's book. Plus, get a free Walking Liberty $50 just for reading this must-have book all about gold. Remember, gold is on the move, up 17%. Call 1-866-944-GOLD.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
SWCPoker.eu is Bitcoin Poker 2.0, where players can buy chips, play, and cash out anonymously with Bitcoin. No banking, just Bitcoin. Texas Hold'em, Omaha Hold'em, Draw, and many new games, including Chinese poker. SWC Poker gladly accepts players worldwide, and over 2 million hands of Bitcoin poker have been dealt at SWCPoker.eu. Bitcoin poker from the brand you trust. SWCPoker.eu.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Live Saturday edition. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. The number's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about the debt, the national debt, that is, not the debt that Americans have, which apparently is prodigious in and of itself. By the way, that's something you can control. Mm-hmm. You can decide to spend less, because I love this saying, it's not what you make, it's what you spend. And you can have a pretty darn good life spending less. That's what we've decided. We did at our house years ago. We grow some of our own food, and we don't go out to eat nearly as much as we used to. I used to be an advertising executive in, a high-end community, drove around in my little convertible sports car, go out to lunch, go out to dinner, go out to whatever, go out to breakfast. I mean, I was single. I didn't make a lot of food, I'll admit. And I spent everything I made, and sometimes more than what I made. Now, we're trying to make it with less. The number's 855-450-3733. I want to get to these calls, but I'd like to point out, 7 days a week, we open up the phones for you to call in. The number from 7p to 10p Eastern Time. Same number. We're on a bunch of radio stations. On Saturday night, we're on like 170 radio stations. But that's our biggest night of the week. But we're on a bunch of other stations otherwise, so you can still call in. You don't have to be hearing us on your radio station. You always can pick us up at freetalklive.com. Let's go to Bill calling in from Alabama. Bill, you're on Free Talk Live.
I am so glad you guys are on the air. This is your advice. This debt that we're in is no joke. We are really in it. I think the solution to it, and I think Trump would probably be one of the ones that could solve it, is the fact that 1/3 of all the land in the United States belongs to parts of the United States. And I don't know what percentage after the housing bubble burst and all those homes that were confiscated and foreclosed on by Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, how much of that they do. But here's the solution. First thing you want to do is make sure that the government cannot get in debt again. That's the most important thing that needs to be passed.
Well, first I'd like to see it get out, but okay.
Yeah. Step one, then step two.
Get out of it. Okay, you have to take it as it comes, okay? Down here in Alabama, beautiful, beautiful, what they call the Emerald Coast. A lot of it is owned by the federal government. So much of it is owned. Why not sell it, but say, okay, we're going to give you a 60-year lease and take this beachfront property in Alabama, Florida, wherever, and build a condominium. You may require them to put it back like after 60 years, where they found it, but sell it or lease it at market value. Then, not only will you have that enormous amount of income, I'm talking about places like Yellowstone National Forest, too.
Wow, I was at Yellowstone, and that's one of the most beautiful places on earth. I would agree with you that the federal government holds a great deal of assets in the form of land, and how to divest itself and best make that available to the most amount of people it's a conundrum. There's no doubt. I would say that the federal government is the worst organization to manage that stuff. That much is agreed. Thank you for the call, Bill.
And where's the constitutional mandate that allows them to hold this type of land? I mean, the ownership of land is only mentioned a couple times in the Constitution, and it talks specifically about buildings, military installations, buildings, things like that, ports and forts. It's just ridiculous. So yeah,
Let's go to Jim.
Sell it all.
Jim calling in from Delaware, listening to WILM. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, yeah, you guys only come on Saturday. Are you there?
Yes, sir. It's just blown out. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys only come on Saturday night in Delaware.
You can always call the program director at WILM and tell him you love the show and you'd like to hear more.
Right. At least Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday's awesome for us.
We agree.
I know you guys would probably vote for the Libertarian candidate. Who is that anyway?
At this point, the Libertarians have not chosen. I'm sorry. At this point, the Libertarians haven't chosen their candidate, Jim.
You know what I think? Donald, you might not agree, but Donald Trump is our last chance to bring the government back to the people, all people, because ever since Kennedy was killed, the president's been chosen by the establishment and the global elite, the ones who killed Kennedy.
Jim, thank you for the call. I think, I want to ask Chris about this. Thanks for the call, Jim. So what do you think about Trump? What are your thoughts on this candidate? You have good and bad? I mean, do you have any good thoughts on Trump?
I'm just a really bad guy to ask that because I kind of checked myself out of caring about the presidency a couple years ago. I know it impacts me. I know it impacts the country.
Well, your vote doesn't statistically matter.
Statistically, it doesn't, but I just don't see him being that much greater or that much worse than any other candidate. So go ahead and pick who you think's going to work. I spent so many years as a neocon, so many years as a hardcore Republican that the mere thought of a Bernie or a Hillary just rubs me the wrong way.
Sure.
But I've just not been convinced after Obama and Bush and Clinton and Bush. What difference did I really see?
So I guess there's lots of things to dislike for me about Donald Trump as a candidate, but I will say that he's got to be a disruptive force, and there's no place that I'd rather see some disruption than Washington, D.C., that it seems like he just would go in, kick butt, and take names, and Washington's so corrupt and so messed up. How much worse could it be under a Donald Trump presidency?
Thank you. That's kind of my point.
And so, I mean, when all your options are exhausted, and Jim's right, I will in all likelihood vote for the Libertarian. You're not going to find me voting for Donald Trump in the general election. But I can totally see why in the primaries, given the choices of Kasich, who cannot statistically win the 1237, Cruz, who could only win the 1237 with a sheer miracle. If God wants Cruz to win, God's going to have to pull something off here in the last few.
If he does, then you better vote for Cruz because it's been so ordained. Yes,
right. Well, if God wanted Cruz to win, then Cruz would win, which goes to show to me that God doesn't want Cruz to win. And my other thought on Trump is that it's kind of sickening to me to have a primary process where the candidate who gets the most votes might not get the nomination.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not rooting for the guy, but it seems like the right thing for him to get the nomination.
And a lot of us that, kind of grew up during the Ron Paul stuff, I won't say grow up, but we were I got more involved in Liberty during the Ron Paul years, and we saw how poorly he was treated. We saw how rules were changed to try to keep that kind of a candidate.
Gonna cheat him. They're going to cheat Trump at the convention.
Oh, absolutely.
And it could very well be the best thing that ever happened to this nation because people will be so mad. They jilted Ron Paul. They jilted people at the Democratic convention when they did this voice vote over Jerusalem being the capital of Israel. I don't know what the hell it was
remember
even
that
about.
One.
But it was just an obvious lie, and people are beginning to see that this duopoly, this two-party system, is just corrupt as it possibly could be. And I hope Trump wins the most votes. I hope he doesn't quite make the 1237, and that the Republicans cheat, and that Republicans are just like, you know what? I've had it. I don't care if Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton gets the presidency because all you people are a bunch of liars. This nation is corrupt. By the nation, I don't mean the people that are here.
No,
but I'm talking about the
recognize
politicians.
what you're saying, yeah.
It's just so sickening. We know what they're going to do, and nobody's going to do anything about it. The pitchforks and the torches just will never come out. I don't think they'll come out in this circumstance either.
I don't either, but I enjoy any opportunity to pull back the curtain and let the parties show what they're really about. And I'm sorry for the supporters of Trump. I'm sorry for the supporters of Bernie. I've been there. I've been one of those people that felt so disillusioned, felt like it was within our grasp, yet it gets yanked away from you.
I've already endorsed Sanders for the Democratic nomination, and I'm endorsing Trump for the Republican nomination. But I won't vote for either of them in the general. I'm going to vote for the person that most represents my values, because that's what I do. In all likelihood, that will be the Libertarian. I hope it's our co-host, Daryl W. Perry.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
But, I mean, you know, I don't know if he's got the legs to make it through that nomination process. We will see. Nonetheless, thanks so much for spending the evening with us. Don't forget, texting and driving is more deadly than drinking and driving. Stay off those phones while you're in those cars. It's been Mark with you.
And Chris.
Free Talk Live.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The live edition of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Hoosier State in Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, April 23rd, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.96 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,232 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $448. Antiwar.com reports for a long time in the U.S. air war against the Islamic State, the Pentagon was blanketly denying all civilian deaths in their attacks, after conceding to only 21 over the course of the entire war up to September of last year. On Friday, the Central Command confirmed another 20 killed since then. This is, of course, a massive undercount, with rights groups reporting nearly 500 civilians killed in U.S. strikes just through August of last year, and more happening all the time. Conspicuously, the new report did not include any of the civilians killed in a pair of attacks targeting physical cache in Mosul, even though the Pentagon had previously confirmed an undisclosed number of killings in those cases. Even more galling, CENTCOM spokesman Colonel Patrick Ryder presented the increasing number of civilians being killed by American warplanes as proof of how cowardly the Islamic State is, even though it is well documented that the Pentagon has repeatedly loosened the rules of engagement to allow them to deliberately attack areas they know civilians to be present in. In most cases, the Pentagon has unilaterally dismissed reports of civilian casualties in airstrikes as not credible, even in cases when those reports were documented by human rights groups and included corroboration from multiple sources. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports federal authorities are trying to track down 500 pounds of commercial-grade fireworks that agents believe were taken off a freight train somewhere in the Midwest. The U.S. Department of Justice announced the missing fireworks on Friday, which were apparently removed from a CSX train that was traveling from Chicago to Detroit. By the time the train arrived in Detroit, rail officials noticed that half of its shipment of fireworks was gone. Authorities are conducting searches in 3 states, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan, where the train stopped during its trip. Federal agents say it's the quantity stolen that makes them extremely dangerous. Officials said they believe 32 cases were stolen in all, which indicates several people were likely involved in the theft. The shells that carry the commercial-grade fireworks measure between 2.5 to 5 inches in length, according to officials, and are the type typically used by governments for large holiday celebrations like the 4th of July. Investigators said they are concerned the explosive material could fall into the wrong hands due to the substantial amount taken. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is expected to issue an advisory for the missing material and possibly a reward in the coming days. Officials aren't yet sure about a motive, but said terrorism is unlikely. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports at least 8 people believed to be members of the same family were found shot to death execution style in 4 homes in Pike County, Ohio, and a suspect or suspects